Before you scroll, ask yourself how much of your reality is actually yours. What if the thoughts in your head were planted there by someone else? Stay with me until the end of this story, because what I discovered inside a long-abandoned facility in upstate New York changed everything I believed about free will, memory, and government control. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I uncover the stories no one else dares to tell because they're either too afraid or too involved. I never intended to become a conspiracy theorist. I was a freelance journalist, grounded in facts, deadlines, and coffee. But in October 2019, a seemingly innocuous tip from an anonymous email pulled me into a rabbit hole I'd never fully climbed out of. The subject line was, "mkultra never ended, see attached." Attached was a scanned, yellow document with redacted lines and a map pinpointing a location in upstate New York, Maryvale Psychiatric Research Center, a facility that, according to official records, was shuttered in 1973. At first, I laughed it off. mkultra was the CIA's notorious mind control program from the 50s and 60s LSD experiments, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, the stuff of conspiracy forums and forgotten documentaries. But as I started cross-referencing the document with declassified CIA files, something didn't sit right. The coordinates were real. Maryvale had existed, but its shutdown was oddly undocumented. No closure forms, no staff relocation records, no equipment decommissioning. It was like the place just vanished. I drove there on a gray November morning. The forest surrounding Maryvale was thick, almost unnatural. GPS failed 2 miles from the site. I had to navigate using the old survey map attached in the email. I found the facility by accident, an overgrown path that led to a rusted gate half covered in moss. The sign read, "Department of Behavioral Research, closed to the public." The air felt colder there, heavier, like it knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I broke in through a shattered side window. The place had been untouched for decades, papers still scattered on desks, dusty wheelchairs in corners, lights long dead. I took photos, scribbled notes, filmed short clips on my phone. But the deeper I went into the building, the more modern it looked. In one wing, uncle beds were neatly made. Fluorescent lights flickered faintly. A coffee cup sat on a desk warm. I wasn't alone. I turned down a corridor labeled neurosensory containment. Every door had a keypad and no handles. One door stood ajar. Inside, the room was padded, soundproofed. I found a clipboard with a patient name, subject 1089, adherence successful. The term adherence was underlined multiple times. Beside it, a note, triggers implanted. Monitor reaction to auditory cue, 7 Hz pulse. That frequency stuck with me. It would come back in ways I didn't understand yet. Then I heard it, a low hum, like the vibration of a distant engine, but more inside my head than around me. I staggered back, dizzy, heart pounding. It stopped the moment I stepped out of the room. I should have left right then, but curiosity is a cruel addiction. In the basement, I found something that shouldn't exist, a functioning elevator. It worked. The panel only had one button, B3. The ride down felt like forever. The air got colder. When the doors opened, I stepped into what looked like an operating theater, metallic, sterile, with a viewing room behind one-way glass. There were chairs, cameras, and on the table straps, dozens of wires dangled above it like puppet strings. A sudden bang startled me. I ran back to the elevator, but it was dead. My phone buzzed. No service. But the flashlight worked. I backtracked to a hallway that hadn't been on the map. It led to a room labeled Cognitive Replication Lab. Inside were shelves stacked with VHS tapes, each labeled with dates and names. Many of the names were children. One was mine. I froze. My name, on a tape marked Adherence Trial 1994. I was 8 years old in 1994. I grabbed the tape, hands shaking. There were no VHS players in sight. I shoved it into my bag and made my way back to the ground floor through a maintenance shaft. It was nearly dark outside. My car battery was dead. I hitchhiked to the nearest gas station and paid a trucker $100 to take me back to the city. I didn't say a word the entire ride. When I got home, I found an old VCR and played the tape. The footage was grainy black and white. A young boy me sitting in a sterile room. A man asked me to describe a photo. The photo wasn't shown, but I kept saying the same word, father, over and over. Then the humming started. I clutched my head on screen, screamed. The tape cut out. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the tape at least 10 times, looking for some hint it was faked. But I knew it was real. The scar on the boy's forehead, my scar from falling off a bike at age 6. The way he twitched his left hand when nervous, my tick. But I had no memory of that room, or that man, or any of it. And the term, adherence, it haunted me. It implied obedience, programming. The next morning, my laptop wouldn't boot. Blue screen. My phone was stuck in a restart loop. Even my landline was dead. I went to a public library to do more research on Merivale. Nothing came up. The site didn't even exist on historical property records. It was as if it had been erased digitally, legally, historically. But I still had the footage. I uploaded it privately to a cloud backup and sent copies to 3 friends, just in case. One of them, Jen, an old college buddy now working as a data analyst, called me the next night. "Are you kidding me?" she whispered. "Do you know what this is?" The frequency embedded in the tape, it's a 7 Hz theta pulse. It's used in deep trance conditioning. That's not random. She said it wasn't just audio, it was binaural brainwave stimulation. The same technique rumored to be used in CIA interrogation programs. I asked her to run the tape through spectral analysis. That's when things went from weird to terrifying. She found a pattern hidden in the audio beneath the hum, an encoded phrase, "Subject responsive memory gate secure," that suggested something more sophisticated than LSD experiments. This was technological, modern, clinical, not something that ended in the 70s. This wasn't a relic, it was active. 3 days later, Jen vanished. She was supposed to meet me in person with the results. Never showed. Her phone rang twice, then disconnected. I went to her apartment. Door open, lights on, cat unfed. No signs of struggle, but she was gone. Police took a report, but I could tell they weren't taking it seriously. I tried to access her cloud drive. It had been wiped. I began noticing patterns in my own behavior. I'd lose time. An hour here, 2 hours there. I found myself waking up on the couch with the TV on static. Once, I had scratches on my arm with no explanation. I started recording myself while I slept. One night, I watched myself sit up at 3:17 a.m., walk to the window, and whisper, "The gate remains," then lie back down. I contacted a retired military psychologist I'd interviewed years ago, Dr. Evelyn Hartz. I showed her the footage, the tape, my sleep videos. She went pale. She told me what I had stumbled into wasn't just mkultra, it was mkultra 2.0. She called it Theta Protocol. She said it was a continuation program that targeted children in the 80s and 90s under the guise of behavioral research. According to her, select schools and pediatric clinics were used as data collection hubs. Kids were exposed to subliminal tones, imagery, even chemically laced vaccines. The goal, she said, wasn't just obedience, it was reconstructive identity. They wanted to see if they could rewrite moral codes, erase guilt, create programmable actors who believed their own lies. I asked her if she thought I was one of them. She said she didn't know, but if I had a tape, it meant I was flab. After that meeting, I never saw Dr. Hartz again either. Her office was cleared out within 48 hours. Her LinkedIn, gone. Even articles she'd published in medical journals were retracted. And I started receiving calls from unknown numbers that hung up the moment I answered. I began to feel watched, cars parked outside my apartment for hours, drones hovering near my windows. My paranoia wasn't paranoia anymore. The final straw came when my apartment was broken into. Nothing was stolen, but all my paper notes, my backup drives were gone, except for one thing left neatly on my kitchen table, a copy of the same VHS tape, but now labeled Cycle 2 Adherence Reinforcement. I never played it. I couldn't. I wrapped it in tinfoil and buried it in a park miles away. Since then, been living off the grid, prepaid phones, VPNs, cash only. Every time I get close to exposing something, someone disappears. I've started piecing together others like me, subjects, through old forums, IRC logs, and whistleblower accounts. We all share the same traits: gaps in memory, strange dreams, recurring tones or triggers. Some have been institutionalized, others have gone off the radar, a few are dead. But here's the part that chills me most. I've started remembering fragments like broken glass in my mind. A white room, a woman with silver hair saying, "Let him forget," a man tapping a pen in rhythmic patterns, a mirror that wasn't a mirror. It's like someone is letting me recall now, like my time as a sleeper is over and I'm being reactivated. I'm telling you this not because I want pity, but because you might be next. Theta Protocol doesn't need to abduct anymore. With today's tech, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, subliminal advertising, they can reach you wherever you are. It's no longer just LSD and sensory torture, it's algorithmic conditioning. And the terrifying part is, most people will never know it happened to them. Sometimes, when I walk past televisions and store windows, I hear that same hum again. 7 Hz. Sometimes it's buried in hold music, in the clicking of traffic lights. It's everywhere, and when I feel it, I change. I become colder, numb, detached, like someone else is behind the wheel. That's why I've started writing this down. If I disappear, this story is my warning, my confession. And if you're reading this thinking, this can't be real, good, that's what they want. Because doubt is the greatest form of control. It keeps truth in the shadows, keeps you from asking the next question, from watching the next tape, from digging deeper. But if you feel something shift in your mind after reading this, some strange itch behind your thoughts, you already know. I found one last document before I went underground. A torn memo, stamped 2017, labeled mku2 Theta Adherence Group B active. And at the bottom, testing expanding to Southeast Asia via mobile auditory triggers. The conspiracy isn't coming. It's already here, on your phone, in your feeds, in your dreams. So the question isn't, is mkultra still going? The question is, have you already been part of it? If you've ever had a stretch of missing time, recurring dreams of white rooms, an irrational fear of certain sounds or lights, you may already have your answer. I'm leaving tonight, heading somewhere with no signal, no towers, no grid. This will be my last upload for a while, maybe ever. I don't know who to trust anymore, but I trust this. The truth survives in whispers, in people like you who don't take the first answer, who question the flicker behind the screen, who feel the static before the signal. I still don't know who sent me that first email. I've searched every metadata trace. Nothing. But sometimes, I wonder if it was me. Another version. Another layer. Another cycle. Maybe this was always part of the program, my confession, another test. Maybe you're part of it too, just by listening. Maybe this was never a warning, it was an activation. So now, ask you how much of you is really you. And if you're still watching, if this story stirred something inside you that you can't explain, maybe it's not just a story, maybe it's your wake-up call. Subscribe for more unsettling truths. The stories they want buried, we uncover them here. Until next time, if there is one.